Hi everyone, welcome back to the Alpine Virtual channel where we deep dive into business operations and ask the tough questions. I'm Nicole Magelssen, founder and CEO of Alpine Virtual, where we have helped business owners save over 100,000 hours with strategic virtual assistant support. And today I'm tracking a question that might seem impossible at first glance, and that is, could virtual assistants have helped save Big Lots from bankruptcy? Now, I know what you're thinking. They're a discount realtor with over 1,300 stores, and they filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in September of 2024, and that seems like a problem way too big for virtual assistants to solve. But as someone who has spent years analyzing business operations and seeing how the right support can really transform companies, I wanted to dig deeper. And I have spent a lot of time going through court filings, through financial reports, through news coverage and industry analysis to understand what went wrong with Big Lots. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Some of their problems were far beyond what virtual assistant support could fix, but there are some really fascinating insights about how strategic virtual assistant support could have helped them identify their crisis and critical problems a lot earlier. So let me start with what actually happened with Big Lots. And this was not at all a sudden collapse. It was a slow motion disaster, and it had been building for years. The company filed for bankruptcy in September 2024 with about $3.1 billion in assets and debt, citing inflation, high interest rates, and reduced customer spending on home goods. But here's what I found really interesting. Their bankruptcy filings specifically mentioned that customers were pulling back on spending, particularly on high-ticket discretionary items. Their CEO, Bruce Thorn, said that they missed sales goals due largely to continued pullback in consumer spending by core customers. So that suggests that they were really caught off guard by changing consumer behavior, which raises some really big and important questions about their market research and about their customer insights. Now, could virtual assistants have prevented Big Lots bankruptcy? Honestly, they couldn't have fully prevented it. The company was dealing with massive structural challenges, supply chain disruptions, inflation pressures, and a lot of competition from Amazon and Walmart, and fundamental shifts on how people shopped for home goods. There was no amount of operational efficiency that could have solved those macroeconomic forces. But here's what gets really interesting. Could virtual assistants have helped Big Lots identify and respond to these challenges earlier, potentially giving them more time to adapt? That's a much more compelling question. So let's look at the analysis piece first. Big Lots was apparently very surprised by the extent of consumer pullback on discretionary spending. But this trend was really visible in economic data, in social media sentiment, and in consumer behavior patterns months before it became a crisis. A dedicated virtual assistant team that's focused on market research and competitive analysis could have been tracking these indicators systematically. I'm talking about virtual assistants who specialize in data analysis, in social media monitoring, and in trend research. They could have been tracking competitor pricing strategies. They could have been monitoring consumer sentiment across review sites and social media, and analyzed economic indicators that specifically impacted discount retail consumers and identified early warning signs and purchasing patterns. One of our clients is a retailer, and a VA produces weekly competitive analysis reports for them. And this is tracking pricing, it's tracking inventory levels and promotional strategies and customer feedback across their competitors. This is an early warning system that has helped them pivot strategy multiple times before problems became critical. So could similar analysis have been used for Big Lots and help them see the consumer spending cliff coming and adjust their inventory and pricing strategies accordingly? Probably. Let's talk about consumer insights and feedback analysis. Big Lots was operating over 1,300 stores, which means they were generating massive amounts of customer data. Purchase patterns, seasonal trends, regional preferences, price sensitivity indicators, but processing and analyzing this data requires dedicated resources that many retailers don't prioritize until it's too late. Virtual assistants that specialize in data analysis and customer research could have been systematically analyzing this information to identify trends. They could flag really concerning patterns and provide actionable insights to management. They could have been tracking metrics like average transaction size, frequency of customer visits, and seasonal buying patterns and price elasticity across different product categories. This bankruptcy filing mentioned that customers were particularly pulling back on high-ticket discretionary items, but how early were the warning signs visible in their sales data? Could systematic analysis have identified the trend months earlier, giving them the time to adjust their product mix, their pricing strategies, or promotional approaches? Now, let's examine the operational efficiency angle. Big Lots was closing stores and struggling with profitability, which suggests potential operational inefficiencies that might have been addressed with the right support systems. Virtual assistants could have been analyzing store performance data to identify underperforming locations before they became major drains on profitability. They could have been conducting systematic competitive analysis to identify pricing opportunities, tracking inventory turnover rates to optimize product mix, and monitoring operational metrics across all locations to identify the best practices that could have been scaled. One area that I think virtual assistants could have made a real impact in digital transformation and e-commerce organization. Big Lots was primarily a brick and mortar retailer trying to compete in an increasingly digital world. So while they had this small online presence, they were really competing against big names like Amazon and Walmart and other realtors who had invested heavily in e-commerce operations. Virtual assistants specializing in digital marketing and in e-commerce could have helped Big Lots optimize their online presence and helped them really improve their digital marketing efficiency and help them develop better omnichannel strategies. This could have been managing social media engagement, optimizing product listing, conducting A/B tests on marketing campaigns, and analyzing digital consumer behavior patterns. But here's where I need to be realistic and not really get too far ahead of myself. Even if Big Lots had implemented comprehensive virtual assistant support for data analysis, for customer insights, for competitive intelligence, and digital optimization, would it have been enough to actually save them from bankruptcy? The honest answer is most likely not. The fundamental challenges that they faced were massive. Inflation was driving up their costs, while their price-sensitive customers were trying to reduce their spending. Competition from Walmart and Amazon was intensifying. The entire retail landscape was shifting towards e-commerce faster than they could adapt. So these are strategic and macroeconomic challenges that go far beyond any operational efficiency and any support that can provide. However, and this is important, having better data analysis and market insights might have helped them make different strategic decisions earlier. So maybe they could have accelerated their digital transformation. Maybe they could have adjusted their product mix more quickly. Maybe they could have identified cost-cutting opportunities, or maybe found revenue streams before their financial situation became completely critical. What's fascinating about the Big Lots case is that it highlights a difference between operational problems and strategic problems. Virtual assistants are incredibly effective at solving operational problems, inefficient processes, data analysis bottlenecks, and research and monitoring tasks, customer service issues, but they can't solve the fundamental strategic problems like being in a declining market segment or facing insurmountable competitive structure. That said, having better operational intelligence can absolutely inform better strategic decisions. If Big Lots had been getting a comprehensive market analysis, customer behavior insights, and competitive intelligence on a regular basis, their leadership team might have recognized the severity of their challenges a lot earlier and maybe made different strategic choices. So the real lesson here isn't whether VAs could have saved Big Lots. It's about the importance of having systematic intelligence, gathering and analysis process in place before the problems and the crises arrive. So too many businesses operate reactively. They're responding to problems after they become obvious rather than proactively monitoring for early warning signs. And this is where virtual assistants can provide tremendous value for businesses of really any size. They can become your early warning system, systematically monitoring the indicators that matter most to your business and providing the intelligence that you need to make so that you can have these proactive decisions. So for smaller businesses watching this, the Big Lots bankruptcy is a reminder that even very large established companies can be completely blindsided by market changes. Having dedicated support for market research, competitive analysis, consumer insight gathering, and operational monitoring isn't just nice to have, it can be crucial for survival. Could virtual assistants have saved Big Lots from bankruptcy? Yeah, probably not, but their challenges were just too fundamental and too large. But could strategic virtual assistant support have helped them see problems coming earlier and maybe respond more effectively? That's a much more interesting question, and I think the answer is probably yes. The bigger takeaway is this: don't wait until a crisis to start systematically monitoring your business environment. Whether you are a small business or you are a major retailer, having dedicated support for intelligence gathering and analysis can help you spot problems and opportunities before they become crucial. What do you think? Could better operational intelligence have made a difference for Big Lots? Is there anything that I missed in ways they could have saved them? Or were their problems just fundamentally too large to solve? Drop your thoughts in the comments below and let me know what other companies you'd like me to analyze in this series. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.